The old kingdom, a land rife of war, plague, and poverty. Some call it a cold and barren land, offering nothing more than sorrow and angst. That the settlers don't just live there, but rather must survive. It's wretched, destructive, and dismal. But all hope is not yet lost. For amongst the ashes of destruction, a new hero will rise. Though not equipped with the blade of a veteran, nor an army of a king, but with the fury and soul of a dragon. Day 1, I awoke in a cold, damp cell. I didn't really know what was going on, as the night before I'd been out partying at some random inn. Not gonna lie, probably wasn't my best decision ever, and the random orc women that talked me into the strange drink certainly wasn't a great choice in life either. Nonetheless, when I woke, I had this strange woman talking to me about who I was and where I was from. Probably wasn't the best idea to give her my address and tell her where I lived, but and sure enough, when I laid down in that horrible bed, I woke back up in my own. So I'm gonna write it off as, well, just being a bad dream. Again, whatever ale I had last night probably didn't sit too well. So I took my bow, sword, and arrows and went out on a hunt. Skyrim is a cold and harsh place, so not only are there dangerous bandits constantly roaming about, but also the frigid cold waters and weather take my life at any moment, which is why I preferred to stay at home in Whiterun. Till today, and everything changed.
And everything changed.
I had a strange calling drawing me to a certain location. Couldn't quite explain it, but knew I had to get there, and had to get there fast. I'd never climbed the mountain that overlooked Whiterun, and, well, now I see why. The first run-in with wolves was a very uneventful one. You could definitely tell I was not prepared. But after narrowly escaping with my life, I made it upon the small town of Riverwood. It was a beautiful town, though rainy. Kids playing in the streets, and dogs roaming alongside them. But this still wasn't my end destination, so I continued on my journey, until finally I stumbled upon 3 stones standing tall. One bearing the mark of a warrior, one of a mage, and one of a thief. I'd been a thief my whole life, barely getting by, staying out of sight, making do with what I could. So I aligned myself with this stone, and made onward with my adventure. Stumbled upon a bandit lair on my way back to town, and I decided to test my newfound strength out. And man, was it mighty. After taking out the entrance guard, I made my way into the bandit's lair. Taking them out stealthily, and, well, generally one by one was my tactics. But it was here in this cave that I had my first realization in Skyrim. And that is that I wouldn't always be prepared for every situation, outcome, and enemy. Some things would greatly overwhelm me, be much more powerful, and I'd simply be in over my head. This first run-in taught me a great lesson. That is, I could actually die in this world. I turned and ran like hell from the bandits. Because, let's be real, there's a lot of them, and my arrows did very little. Once back in town, I talked to the local merchant. He told me he had been missing a stolen claw, and this was an area that I actually had a fair amount of expertise in. So I promised I would return the claw to him, and bought myself a small tent. This way I could stay warm in the harsh winters of Skyrim. I decided to stay in Riverwood for the night. Well, I honestly didn't sleep too well. I woke early and unsettled. I knew today was the day that my life changed. I was going to climb this mountain, find the claw, and become a hero.
I have the power!
But the frigid weather wasn't the only obstacle climbing this mountain. Not too far along, I found another lair of bandits. After my last run-in, I was certainly scared as, well, honestly, if these guys were anywhere as strong as the last ones, I was going to have a hard time getting through them. But with stealth and intelligence, I managed to take them all out and steal the gear that I could. Not going to lie, I was a pretty poor man, so taking the loot off the dead bodies, this was my only way to have a better set of equipment. Did I feel bad for leaving them there in the cold? Well, not really, they were bandits. They chose this way of life much as I did, and who knows? One day that could be me laying in the snow. After slaying the bandits and continuing, I happened upon this large crypt or ancient ruins, and I figured, well, this is probably where the bandits hold up, as I wouldn't want to go in here if I didn't absolutely have to, but Again, I could probably just sneak in, take out a few bandits, and get the claw pretty easily. Along my way in the cave, I heard a man screaming for help, and so I rushed in to help. And that's when I saw it. Largest spider in the world. Well, largest spider in my world, at least. Luckily, when I got there, it had already taken a few hits of damage from the previous explorers. And after hiding like a rat in the doorway, I managed to take it out with a lot of arrows. But my adventure didn't stop at bandits and large spiders. No, the undead also haunted these tombs. I had the claw, and I could always turn back, because obviously this was my only mission objective here. But curiosity got the better of me, so I continued deeper into the crypt. And that's when I found it, a large wall. And the wall kept calling me. Strange mystical aura surrounded me as I approached, and what once was a strange language became very clear. And as soon as I read the word, biggest, baddest undead zombie I'd ever seen came out after me. My hits were doing nothing. Oh man, this was gonna be a rough one. Luckily, my mace had a special enchantment on it that allowed me to spike enemies up into the air once it had reached a certain number of hits on them. And after popping them around like a piece of popcorn, I managed to slay him pretty easily. After that, I looted the cave and exited. And not there long after, I found a boy training, just as I had once in my younger days. He'd spoke of bandits and wanting to slay them, and I understood exactly where he came from. So I decided to teach the boy a thing or two. But along the way, we were attacked by a pack of wolves, and when I mean a pack, there was at least 5 or 6 of them. Not gonna lie, I narrowly escaped with my life, and having the ability to instantly regain health through the sheer will of experience definitely helped me. After a long day of travel, slaying undead, and meeting some strange boy that wanted me to go slay some bandits, I decided we would camp in the woods for the night. I had happened upon the bandits as they were just over the hill and decided it would be best to take them on in the morning when I was well rested, well fed. Day 3, spent the early morning taking out the bandits. Well, are you surprised? This is exactly what I said I was going to do. There was also a hunter nearby that definitely helped me, as if nothing else, she at least distracted the bandit chief for me. And this is when things really took a turn for the better. This bandit chief was loaded out with great armor, and after looting their lair, it was time to return the boy home. After returning the boy, I thought the mom would be happy, but instead she just scalded me a little bit. But she did end up paying up with some nice gold, so I was still happy nonetheless. Also decided to sleep in their town as, well, it seemed like a nice enough city. Dead man's drink. Oh, that's a little creepy. All this travel and adventure had made me hungry and thirsty, so of course we were eating and sleeping every time we traveled and woke up in the morning. Gotta stay healthy if we want to keep on keeping on. Day 4, I was over at the blacksmith selling him all my extra equipment so I could get a little bit of coin together and make myself some extra pouches for carrying more stuff. I now realize one of my biggest problems with exploring and adventuring was simply not being able to carry everything back with me. After this, I returned to Riverwood to give the claw back to its proper owner, and boy how did it pay out well, 400 gold. That was the easiest 400 gold I've made thus far in Skyrim. You know, maybe this hero business wasn't so bad after all. Maybe I didn't need to be a thief. Day 5, I was filling up my water supply. I'd gotten a few water skins together and, well, this would help me not dehydrate while out on my adventures. After that, I decided I wanted to pay a visit to Helgen. It had some of the finest mead in all the land, and, well, honestly, I had had several hard days of adventuring and decided that I was well deserved of it. But on my way up to the front gate, a big dragon flew out. Oh no. But that's not all that awaited me in Helgen. There was also bandits. Man, these people just seem to pop up everywhere. It's like if there's free land to claim, they're there to claim it. This was by no means an easy battle either. My skill with an axe and shield had proven to have increased, so I was able to carry myself to a swift victory over the bandits. After this, I had to warn somebody of what had happened, so I returned back to Riverwood to talk to Alvor, the blacksmith. Day 6, I was back in Whiterun, this time telling the Jarl about the dragon. It was not there long after that another dragon appeared and attacked the watchtower of Whiterun. Good thing I told them about it, otherwise they wouldn't have even been prepared. Well, they actually weren't prepared, they got destroyed. But they sent a detachment, as well as myself, there to deal with it. But this dragon was strange. It was different than the one that had attacked Helgen, I could tell. The one that had attacked Helgen was a lot more menacing. Kinda like the dragon from my first dream. Luckily I had the help of the Whiterun guards, otherwise this dragon might have made a quick snack of me. After defeating the dragon, the very essence of its soul seemed to be absorbed into my body. When the dragon's soul filled me up, I felt the strange urge to shout to the skies. After returning to the Jarl, he appointed me with a housecarl, which was going to be my first friend in this adventure. Not gonna lie, now that I didn't have to adventure alone, you know, things were gonna pick up pace, and I was gonna really make headway on defeating dragons, slaying enemies, and leveling myself up. For the rest of the day, I just chopped wood. That's right, what do you think, all my tents and campfires come out of nowhere? This takes a lot of hard work. As I set out for the Greybeards, an assassin trod my life. Thank goodness I had Lydia there watching my back, otherwise, you know, this might have ended poorly. I assumed this had something to do with the strange statue lady that I talked to in the beginning, because, well, she was the only one that knew my home address, and this guy came for me right as soon as I left the city. This is why you don't tell your address to anybody. After this, Lydia and I made quick work of some bandits. Sneaking around and having two people shooting bows instead of one, well, just makes the enemies drop twice as fast. Also, when in doubt, just poison your arrows. That way you pack twice as much of a punch in the first blow. And that night, I built my first campfire because, you know, I didn't want to get chilly and I wanted to know what the heck I was doing later on when I actually did get to freezing to death. I survived my first week as an adventurer and made a good amount of gold. A lot more than I did whenever I was stealing little rings and then pawning them off on the heres and theres of it. So I decided the adventurer's life was for me. Let's just pray I never take an arrow to the knee.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
I used to be an adventurer like you, and I took an arrow in the knee.
I used to be an adventurer like. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
And I took an arrow in the knee.
Then I took an arrow in the knee.
I started my day by slaying more bandits. Look, if you're gonna call yourself a bandit in Skyrim, you better watch out for me. I don't like you, and I can murder you for free without anybody making me pay. So, you know, it really falls into my category of things that's acceptable morally. After clearing the battle tower, I had a couple mages that wanted to try my life. I don't know what's with all these random people in Skyrim just thinking they can murder people on the roads. That's just rude. So like any good assassin, I snuck away, shot him in the back. One of them did manage to escape though, and I knew this would be hell to pay later. As we got closer to HARDCORE, we happened upon a mage hideout. These mages had gone rogue from the college and had been practicing some seriously dark arts, so I decided I'd put an end to their adventures and, well, really I just wanted to loot and see what they had. And unfortunately, as we busted into the room, guns a-blazing, Lydia met her fate. Apparently she wasn't as strong as I had thought, and these mages, well, they were a lot stronger than I had originally anticipated. She only made it 2 days. R.I.P. Lydia. Oh well. Day 9, I was making my way into Iverstead, the small town at the foothills of the mountain. People there were kind, and they had a fair amount of stuff for me, for kind of free. I was taking a 5-finger discount. After I was done mingling with the townspeople, I decided it was time to climb this big mountain. Apparently there was a pathway going all the way up, and it was some special feat if you made it. But we'll see by the end of it just how hard it really is. One thing was for certain, this mountain offered a great view of Skyrim. I could see everything, even Whiterun from all the way up here. Finally, upon making it to the top, I met the old Greybeards, which were kind of like a bunch of old yodelers. I wasn't quite sure how this all worked. They also taught me a new fancy shout that made me run super fast. This was going to come in handy a lot later whenever I was over encumbered and really just needed to make my way to a shop or to my home base so I could drop off items. After this, I hopped down the side of the hills like a mountain goat. This was probably one of the more dangerous acts that I'd done. Well, as anyone knows, if you fall too far, it can very quickly equate to death. So I made sure to take my time. Once I was back in Whiterun, I had some cultists attack me. What is wrong with people of Skyrim? They claim I'm Dragonborn and they want to lift me up, and then the very next minute I have a couple people trying to kill me and this flame lady. Not cool, man. Not cool. Day 10, I started my day by beating up on a lady. Don't get me wrong, she asked for it though. It was some kind of challenge. We had made a bet that she couldn't beat me in a fight. And don't get me wrong, while her armor was far superior to mine, I just kept hitting her with the right hook. But it's okay, because thereafter we got along and she became my companion. Hey, look at that, I was making more friends in Skyrim. Hopefully this one would last a little longer. After this, me and my new friend went to explore some ancient tomb. The Greybeards had sent me on a quest to retrieve a claw to prove my worthiness to them. And as much as I'd wanted my friend to stick around and continue being useful to me, well, she ended up losing her life here in one of the first encounters in the cave. Not gonna lie, thinking back on it, it might have been my fault. I might have been the one that killed her. Well, thank goodness we're in a cave and nobody could see that. After a lot of exploring in the cave, I managed to find another one of those word walls, and well, learn a little bit more about my dragon soul insides. Day 11, I woke very unhappy as, well, I had to sleep in a cave that night before, and very soon after awaking, I had to deal with another giant spider. Apparently that wasn't the only one of them, and these things just run around these lands wherever the hell they please. And unfortunately for me, this one hadn't been previously wounded, so it had a lot more health. Took a lot more arrows too. After this, I finally managed to make my way into the main tomb area and found where what I suppose the claw should have been. Instead, I found a mysterious note telling me that somebody else had already previously taken it and I could meet them if I wanted the claw. I'm not gonna lie, when I meet them, they're probably gonna get the fisticuffs. Turns out the lady that had left the note was actually the innkeeper from Riverwood. Oh, that crafty bitch. I bet she overheard some of my conversations with myself. Day 12, I was trying to improve my gear when these hired thugs thought they could come up and ransack me from behind. What do you think this is? You think this is my first day adventuring? You're wrong. I'm 12. Not gonna lie, they almost got the better of me, but after using my experience to regain some health, I quickly clapped their cheeks. After this, I just traveled to Windhelm, which, due to its distance from Whiterun, did end up taking me the rest of the day, and decided to sleep in their inn for the night. Delphine had talked to me about going and slaying some dragons. Y'all know me, I get to slurp up that delicious soul, so I'm all game. Day 13, I was meeting Delphine in Kynes Grove, and we were headed up a mountainside. And that's when I saw it, the original OG dragon. Large and in charge. And that's when we realized that the large dragon was actually bringing the smaller dragons back to life. Thank God the small ones weren't as strong as the large one, because my arrows actually did nothing, and, well, even when he brought the second dragon back to life, it shouted me to the ground. This was going to be a serious foe, I could tell. But I didn't have time to worry about the big baddie, as I had another lizard right in front of me, and he needed to be dealt with. Of course, this wasn't my first run-in with a large serpent, so I made quick work of him. And my dragon slaying abilities had gotten even quicker. Day 14, we were traveling to Solitude to give my stuff to a smuggler. Apparently, Delphine had heard about a party thrown by the Thalmor that could potentially get us closer to figuring out what the heck these dragons were coming back for and who was responsible. She believed it to be the Thalmor or the High Elves that were invading on Skyrim, and well, I don't really blame her. These guys seem pretty fishy. Day 15, I was into my party suit and getting ready to go crash it. They had a lot of guards at the embassy, but I managed to make my way through just fine, and well, when I got through on the other side, there was a lot of loot. So naturally, come day 16, I traveled back to Whiterun to start selling my loot and, storing it in my house. And that's when a dragon attacked me right inside Whiterun. What a cheeky bastard, to attack me on my own home ground? Oh, now it's personal. While I was inside the embassy, Delphine learned the location of someone she once knew, a good old Esbern, who apparently knew a lot about dragons. So on day 17, I was down in the sewers looking for him. Come on, I don't know why he had to put his hideout down here. It smells like shiitake mushrooms, and I'm allergic. Day 18, naturally I had to escort Esbern's old ass all the way back to Riverwood so he could talk to Delphine about all that he knew about the dragons. Apparently he didn't actually know that much, except for the fact that there might be a good old Alduin's wall out there foretelling the prophecy. If I get the chance to ring this old man for having me run around like a goose, I'm gonna. Day 19, I was trying to travel to Rorikstead so I could be closer to the Cloud Temple, but instead I ended up going to Falkreath because I have no idea actually. They don't even look closely similar to the same place. Anyways, after I arrived there, another dragon attacked me. These dragons were getting a bit testy. I assumed this was Alduin figuring out that I was coming closer in my plan. And on day 20, I traveled to Markarth, which is apparently the closest place that I can get to Rorikstead, and so this is what I have to do. But on my way to the temple, a blood dragon attacked me, which is basically just an upgraded dragon. And I gotta say, 2 back-to-back dragons in 2 days makes me feel like a complete dragon slayer. I'm guessing it was the cologne that I had been wearing. Sheepskin. Day 21, we finished clearing a camp that was just outside the cave of where Esbern thought that the wall had been stationed. And I gotta say, this wall certainly looked mystical, and the story behind it, well, it was actually dope as heck. Day 22, I was going back to talk to the Greybeards. They had a little more information about what could help me as far as taking down Alduin. They also showed me how to clear up a rainy day, which is incredibly useful in case, well, it ever starts snowing on me again. Maybe I can stay out of the cold weather from now on. Day 23, we were trying to take the mountain path up to their leader, Parthenax. The mountain path ended up being super chilly, so if you take this on your own time, make sure you come with lots of wood, because the amount of campfires that I had to make was honestly unreal. And finally, we made it to the top of the mountain, where we talked to a big dragon who was actually the leader of the Greybeards. Told me all that he knew about how I could defeat Alduin, so for that, me and him were pretty chill. And so far throughout my journeys, he was my favorite person that I'd met. Day 24, I was making my way to the Mages College in Winterhold. Apparently they had some books there that might contain the information that I needed to figure out where the Elder Scroll was. Who says reading can't be super exciting? The orc there reminded me of one of my old lunch ladies. Super quick-tempered, ready to throw me out at a moment's notice. And on day 25, I was headed to the polar ice caps of Skyrim. That's right, complete into the frigid death of icy waters. Doesn't sound too fun for me, so I chopped a ton of wood and upgraded my equipment. If I was going to go up there, I definitely needed to be ready so I didn't lose things here. We were so close to figuring out how to defeat Alduin, and, well, it all rested on my shoulders. Day 26, time to go find a man in the ice caps, and that's exactly what we did. Except he was a little crazy, so I'm not too sure how much we can trust everything that he said, but, you know, I'm only going off of what I have. Day 27, we were out to find the Elder Scrolls. The old man had given me some kind of odd trinket that would allow me to find it once I was down in the Dwemer ruins. Apparently they knew a lot more about this stuff than we did, and, well, when in doubt, turn to the ancient wisdom. And so I pretty much spent the whole day hiking through snow to the ancient Dwemer ruins. Day 28, we spent the whole day exploring all this crashed down stuff. There's a lot of Dwemer stuff here, and as I got deeper and deeper down, we started finding some blind snow elves. I think that's what they're called. The white elves that were captured by the dwarves and kept underground for so many years. Everybody should know the lore. And finally, on day 29, we were exploring Blackreach. I gotta say, this is definitely one of the best views in all of Skyrim. Too bad it's underground and festering with evil bugs, villains, and dwarven robotics that just attack you on sight. Luckily, I'm sneaky enough that I managed to make my way through and retrieve the Elder Scroll pretty unscathed. But as soon as I left, a dragon attacked me. Alduin was damn well prepared to stop me in my tracks. But after I'd already slain so many Thalmor, well as large dwarven constructions, I was definitely ready to take this one out. And by take it out, I mean lure it into a giant's camp so, you know, they can take it out and I'll take pop shots. Day 30, I returned home and organized all my loot. Dragon bones and scales were actually really heavy, and don't get me started on all the physics of how they fly if they weigh so much. You know, the amount of force required in order to get that thing off the ground, it's actually almost impossible. Anyways, after this, I returned to that crazy snowman and gave him his cube back. You know, he helped me along my way. I don't want to steal things from him. I camped there with him for the night, and on day 31, a weird ooze thing blocked my path as I was trying to leave. Told me about some power that I wanted, but I refused him, because, let's be real, I'm already Dragonborn. I don't need any extra power than what I already have. After this, I traveled back to the throat of the world. I needed to read the Elder Scroll there and figure out exactly how to kick Alduin's ass. And on day 32, that's exactly what I did. We popped this sucker open, watched what happened in the past, learned a couple of words of wisdom, and then as if on cue, Alduin appeared to test my new might. I really think he was just trying to knock my plan off course at its peak, but, you know, I'm not gonna let him stop me. Of course, I also have Parthenax here to help me, and as long as I keep Alduin on the ground, should be a fair enough fight. Let's not forget I can always pause time and pop my health potions if need be. After this, Alduin ran away like a scared little girl. This isn't the last time we'll have to fight him, so I'm sure that next time he'll be a little bit stronger. Day 33, I talked the Greybeards into holding a peace council. If I was gonna deal with these dragons once and for all, I needed the help of everybody in all of Skyrim. Mostly I just needed the Jarl Whiterun to let me capture a dragon there, but he wouldn't do it unless there was a peace. So, you know, basically just doing whatever he tells me to. So I'm off to play errand boy. First I went to Windhelm to talk to Ulfric. Then on day 34 I went to Solitude to talk to General Tullius. They were both stubborn, but I made it work. Day 35 is time to make peace, not war. And at the Peace Council, I tried to divvy things up pretty evenly, but Ulfric got a little salty. Don't think I won't remember this later when I'm coming back to clear up this Civil War nonsense. Not only that, but after Parthenax had already given me so much help, the Blades decided that he was no longer useful and actually quite still the enemy, so they wanted me to kill him. We'll see how that goes. Might end up turning on them instead. And on day 36, I trapped a dragon in Whiterun. That's right, pretty dope, huh? Of course, it was fairly easy because dragons are cocky, so if you shout their names to the sky, they want to come see what's up and challenge you. But now we had a dragon on the inside that could carry us to Alduin's lair. I decided it was time for me to train up. I didn't want to go fight the big dragon and then him just kick my ass because we're on his home turf now. Time for a training montage. Day 37, I started working on my smithing, then to Riften to gather supplies. Day 38, traveled to Windhelm, then to Morthal, still gathering supplies and smithing my way all the way. Day 39, it was Solitude, then Markov, smithing. How many times can I say it back to back? Apparently only 3. Day 40, I was going to Markov, still more items. I mean buy more items from the shopkeeper, like a nice, generous gentleman. And finally, on day 41, we're back to Riverwood to see if the stocks are resupplied. Of course they were, so we bought everything they had, returned to Whiterun for even more smithing. Day 42, I was back down in Riften, gathering supplies as we were almost there to the point of being able to craft ebony gear. And finally, on day 43, our smithing expedition had come to an end as we reached level 70. And after this, I visited Dawnstar. I hadn't visited this shop yet, and so I stole everything. Yeah, that's really how I greet people in Skyrim. If you got a shop and you're gonna expose your chest and all your wares to the public, well, don't get mad when the public sneaks up behind you and takes everything. You don't have security cameras here, and I'd say that's probably your biggest problem. Day 45, I met a guy named Shady Sam, but he wouldn't buy my stolen goods, so how shady could he really be?
You're useless.
All he did was sell poisons. Well, honestly, that's no good for me. Day 46, I was a little tuckered out on all the smithing, so I just went hunting to increase my archery a little bit. I wanted to hit like a truck whenever I went for Alduin. And finally, on day 47, my smithing adventure had come to an end. We learned how to smith Dragonborn stuff, which was pretty much the best material in all of Skyrim. At least at this point. So, you know, I've coated myself out in armor, made myself a bow. Day 48, spent the rest of the day crafting up my armor and traveling to Solitude so I could snipe some hawks out the sky. Apparently their feathers were required in the armor making. I don't think they were really required, more so an aesthetically pleasing ad. And finally on day 49, we were preparing to fight Alduin. I'd survived almost 50 days in this cold, wretched land as an adventurer, and I think as a day 50 kickoff, I should dive into the belly of the beast and really, you know, get in there. And on day 50, that's exactly what we did. Fly on a dragon to go kick some dragon ass. Thankfully, this guy didn't lie to me and just eat me as soon as I released him. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little worried about that. But once he dropped me off, the dragon didn't stick around. He said, well, if you win, then I'll come back for you, and if Alduin wins, then I never knew what happened here, and, well, you're dead, so you can't contest me. So all day 51, I spent traversing through these ruins, slaying the undead. And I'm not gonna lie, these undead were definitely the healthiest enemies I'd seen throughout the game. I'm not sure even a mammoth or a giant could contest with how much health these guys had. But thankfully, with my Dragonborn bow and my Dragonborn arrow, I was able to take them down while staying in complete silence. And of course, I was successful in finding the portal. Day 52, we dove into Sovngarde. It's, you know, I wanted to sleep first, make sure I was rested up. And this place was truly one of legends. After traversing through here, finding a great haul of previous warriors and dragon slayers alike, we banded together and went out to slay Alduin. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little bit cheap because I had 3 extra people helping me beat down on him the entire time. Honestly, Alduin ended up being one of the easier fights in the game simply because I had companionship. That goes to show you anything, friends are nice. Finally, I felt like a true dragon slayer. I'd taken down the head honcho and cut the head off the snake. And on day 53, with having returned back to normal life in the, well, regular world of Skyrim, I decided to take it easy. After all, it just kind of saved the world and everything, so I went out and got my archery up to level 60. Also, to show off my fancy skills, I took out an entire bandit camp without missing a single shot. How's that for improvement? On day 54, since Alduin hadn't dropped any actual gear or loot or rewards when I defeated him, I decided to go visit the Dawnstar shop and, you know, take rewards for myself. Day 55, I'm in Morthal, taking a few more rewards because, well, Dawnstar didn't really have what I wanted. Day 56, I was finally tired of carrying all these stolen goods on me and keeping them back at my house.
You're too heavy!
So I decided to find someone who would buy them. And I remembered the Thieves Guild existed down in Riften, so let's take a little visit. Day 57, I was down talking to the Thieves Guild. They wanted me to prove my worth before they would allow access to everything they had to offer, which, you know, I can understand that. So I had to go beat up some fools who owed them money. What good is being the Dragonborn if you can't bully the weak? After that, I unlocked the Thieves Guild fence, but she was poor, so yeah, she couldn't really buy all my stolen goods. She couldn't even buy, like, a fraction. And on day 58, I decided that this Civil War nonsense had gone on long enough. I couldn't really stand the fact that every time I went to a new city, they were trying to recruit me and trying to tell me Stormcloaks were right or the Imperials were right. And Ulfric kind of pissed me off during the War Council, so I decided to go to Solitude and join up with the Imperials. Day 59, they had asked me to go clear out some bandits to prove myself. I don't know why I needed to prove myself. Didn't I just slay Alduin, and now you want me to go slay some mere mortals? It seems a little backwards, but whatever, you know. Pixar, it didn't happen, and I understand that. And there's no cameras in Sovereign Guard, so whatever. Day 60, we were going to get some old ugly crown because morale and whatnot. The Nords are all about that ancient mystical history bullshit. Day 61, we were returning to Whiterun. I had to warn the Jarl that Ulfric had planned to attack him when he was most vulnerable. And so on day 62, he sent me to Windhelm. Why are you sending me into the belly of the beast? Like I'm an Imperial and you're gonna send me into the Stormcloak capital? This feels like a bad idea. But apparently it was to deliver an axe. And depending on what Ulfric did with it, it would be a symbol of either peace or war. Of course, Ulfric declared that it would be war, so, you know, back to Whiterun to defend it. After defeating the Stormcloak onslaught on Whiterun, it was back to Solitude. Man, it's really like they don't respect my time. Like I can't have a courier delivering all these messages or a bird. I mean, come on, y'all got like 10 hawks in Solitude. And on day 64, they sent me back into the frigid cold to find an Imperial camp, where she told me that I needed to go find a Stormcloak courier. I mean, seriously, just give me the missions from the head honcho himself and we'll be good to go. But it's okay, because in day 65, I found him sneaking in Windhelm. Well, he wasn't sneaking, this was really just his home base. I was the one that was sneaking. But I caught him with his pants down and gave him the special treatment before he could run.
Oh my.
Day 66, I was returning with the info that I'd stolen from the enemy's courier and, well, changing it up a little bit. The best way to weaken your enemy's defenses is to lie about their offenses. And on day 67, we were delivering the false info to the Stormcloaks and taking down our first fort. Also, since I defeated Alduin, the dragon that I rode to find his lair decided would declare his allegiance to me. So I had a dragon on my side while taking down a fort, and these Stormcloak bastards really didn't stand a chance. Compared to a dragon and the Dragonborn, it's like 1.5 dragons. And on day 68, we were traveling to Dawnstar so I could be closer to the new Imperial camp that I needed to find. Day 69, we were finding the camp just fine. We also managed to take down another fort. Day 70, we were trying to take over Markov by slaying a few dragons and taking out some more forts. How many lines of defenses can the Stormcloaks honestly have? I don't know, but I'll tear through all of them. And on day 71, I actually finally made my way to Rorikstead. I know, 71 days into the game, and I finally found the place that I tried to find on day 19. After this, it was back to slaying forts. Not gonna lie, I kind of felt like this was grunt work and that they didn't really need me. I could have just dispatched my dragon to all these places and then they could have came up and cleaned up the mess. But it's fine because we would be taking down Windhelm soon. And on day 72, we traveled to Riften so that way I could find the last Imperial camp. And on day 73, that's exactly what I did. Not only that, but we managed to take down the last fort in the Stormcloak's defenses. So finally on day 74, we mounted an assault on that cold, windy city. And I'm not gonna lie, I tore through there, just sniping people in the face all the way, until the throne room. Ulfric was a large man in legend, but when it came down to brass tacks, he was just a regular human being, and his boom wasn't even that strong. So of course I made quick work of him and decided to keep his gear as a sign of my dominance. And on day 75, with dragons having been slain, civil wars having been stamped out, and all of my adventure goals for the time being having been checked off, I decided it was time to build my house. It was going to be a standalone. As much as I loved my building in Whiterun, it wasn't truly fit for a king of Skyrim, and honestly, that's the status that I felt now. And so, from day 76 to day 81, I pretty much just gathered material, from mining clay all day to stone and wood. Of course, after that, it was visiting merchants to buy some straw and iron. That way I could build the locks and places for my animals to stay, as well as my bed, because, you know, I'm going to need somewhere comfy to lay my head. Thank goodness I'm still not dead. And finally, on day 82, I realized that a curse had came over my settlement. This must have been that evil statue bitch from the beginning again. So I had to move on somewhere. else. I heard Falkreath had a nice plot of land that was gorgeous and ready for purchase, so I decided to make my way there. Day 83, I was walking to find my new home. They couldn't even be nice enough to drop me off with a horse and chariot. I just gave them 5,000 of my hard-earned cash, and, well, they're still making me walk like a peasant. What is this? Day 84, we spent the whole day just transporting goods back and forth from the old house to the new one because, well, I'd gathered up a lot of supplies, and I'm not gonna lie, I can't carry like 3,000 pounds of firewood all at once, Dragonborn or not. And on day 85, I was finally building my new home. Adding wings and staircases, this place was gonna be magnificent, ready for me and my whole family. Not that I had one. It was still just lonely old me in the world. And on day 86, I was bringing everything from Whiterun over, because of course I had tons of dragon bones still there, and well, don't get me started on these physics and those goddamn weight proportions again. Day 88, I was getting the interior of my house set up. Display stands to show off all my prizes, all my slain foes and creatures that I'd come in contact with. And on day 89 and 90, I actually ran out of my corundum, which I was using to make my locks. Don't ask me why I couldn't make a steel or iron lock. Given I'm the Dragonborn, I think I can just watch my goods and they won't be stolen. You know, this is what it required. So I had to go make a few trips to some shops and steal some stuff. I mean, buy some stuff. Day 91, I was installing my trophies. I had slain trolls, bears, all kinds of things, and I wanted the world to know. And the best way to show it off was to, well, basically just keep it in my private house. And day 92 through 94, that's right, 3 whole days, I was looking for goats. I needed their horns to put up the rest of the lights. I needed their horns to put up the rest of the lights in my house. Don't ask me why I had to go with the goat horn finish. I mean, hell, I even had dragon bones. Why couldn't I make a dragon bone chandelier? This is beyond me. But I had to go find some of these mystical mountain creatures. Managed to find every other creature along the way, but goats, well, they were few and far between. And then I realized something. I'd almost survived 100 days in Skyrim. I'd conquered dragons, civil wars, building my house, but I still didn't have anybody to share all of my achievements with. And so on day 95, I went to Riften, see about getting married. As, well, that's how life goes, right? You do your cool stuff and then you find someone to show off to. Day 96, it was back to Riverwood. I had someone in mind and I'd met her in the beginning of the game. That's right, it's Camilla. Basically, she was just the one that I knew I could easily get to agree to the arrangement of things. You know, I'd returned the gold claw for her way back in the day and scratched her back. Now it's time for her to scratch mine, both literally and figuratively. Day 97, it was back to Riften to get the marriage in order. And of course, as any good bachelor does, the night before his wedding, I got a bit hammered. But I accidentally got a little too drunk and then I didn't have time to sleep before the wedding, so I just ended up going to my own wedding a little drunk on day 98. Yeah, you can't blame me, I've slain everything in this world possible. If I want to get a little tipsy while tying the knot, well, so be it. And I was finally going home to be with my bride. Also, you know, I still had all these goat horns in my pocket. She didn't need to know what they were for. She can figure that out when she gets there. And on day 99, finally, we have lights and a nice meal with the wifey. She decided to set up a shop, and, well, I'm not going to be opposed to a little passive income on the side, you know what I mean? Why she wouldn't just give me her wares for free, and why I had to actually buy them, it's, you know, a little beyond me, and we'll talk about your stinginess later on. And, well, that's it. 100 days survived in Skyrim. Not just surviving, but thriving. Managed to take down the Dragon King himself, the King Dragon, the head honcho of dragons. I also managed to put an end to several years of war and build a manor worthy of Dragonborn status. If you enjoyed this 100 days of adventure, make sure you click that like button down below and of course subscribe for more awesome content from yours truly. This video took a long time of both recording and editing and all the voiceover work because of course, well, this doesn't happen magically. We're going to be having more 100 days coming soon, so make sure you're subscribed to catch it. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time.